Hey folks, this is Michael Brown with the Louisville Tea Party, and we are here with the rest of the news. Dr. Frank Simon will be joining me momentarily, and we are excited to talk today about tax day things that are coming up. As you know, the 18th of this month is going to be tax day. That's when everybody will be running at the last minute to take in their money that the government says it's theirs. And we're going to be doing a couple of wonderful things kind of in honor of that or in response to that. I'm just going to go over those things really quickly first. First of all, on Tuesday, which is the 18th from 5 to 6 or 7 p.m., right outside the main post office on Gardner Lane, the Louisville Tea Party and Dr. Simon will be hosting a Taxed Enough Already sine wave. So just to let those taxpayers who have spent, the last several nights staying up late, trying to calculate how much money is going to be taken from them, and then getting everything together so that they can go and dutifully pay up what they're told to pay. We're going to be out there and we're going to be waving some signs and letting those people know that, yes, we are with you. We think that you're taxed enough already, because the Louisville Tea Party and tea parties in general have a couple of basic premises. One of the premises is fiscal responsibility is important. So if you're going to take somebody's money, you better spend it wisely or not at all. The basic concept number one. Second concept is lowering taxes. Grover Norquist of the Americans for Tax Reform said that one of the things that politicians do is they put all your money on a table, they sit around the table, and they work on figuring out who can use it to buy most votes. And so when that money becomes constricted, they end up fighting each other rather than fighting the taxpayer, because oftentimes it seems like we're literally paying for things like propaganda for why we need more taxes. If you look at the Kentucky project that was called the Lift Kentucky Project, which was basically a way to do more local taxes, you'll find out that the city of Louisville was actually putting money into an organization that was pushing for more taxes. So what oftentimes happens is governments will use your money to put together ads, to put together mailers, things like this to push more taxes. And so it's important to always restrict that flow of taxes if possible. And then the third concept of the Tea Party was constitutionally limited government. It's very important that you have a set of laws. Everybody says, I want to be a rule of law person. And they're right. That should be the way things work. Because if it's not written down, if it's not the law, if it's not in the rules, it shouldn't be done. Unfortunately, what oftentimes happens is that people will go outside of that and they will say, well, until we go through a court situation, until we go to the Supreme Court, we can't say whether it's constitutional or not. And I don't feel like that the Founding Fathers, when they were actually putting together the Constitution, were going to say, well, you know what? Let's let the government decide what power the government has. Those three tenets are central to the Tea Party. And if you think about what happened back in 2009, or in 2008, actually, you had a situation where both presidential candidates got off the campaign trail. They rushed back to Washington and they said, we're going to take a whole lot of money from the American people and we're going to bail out companies that did things which were unwise. Immediately, there was a backlash both from the left and from the right. And so the Tea Parties in general sprang from this rebellion against, hey, we're going to take money that belongs to you and give it to somebody else that we would rather have it. So when the Louisville Tea Party was formed, my understanding was that it was formed with an equal number of Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians all on the board at the same time. Because of that, it has a unique reach across the various groups of people to where, when you say to someone, hey, are you taxed enough already? Why, they're going to say, I think so. I feel like I am. Kentucky is going to be coming into a special session. Some say sooner, some say later, but it's probably going to be towards the end of the year, October, maybe September. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking, Governor Brett Bevin was elected on a promise to completely overhaul the way that the taxes worked in Kentucky, make it fairer, make it in some ways better for the people of Kentucky, and make it so that people will come here. Because if you have a choice between two places, one that has more taxes and one that has less, why, oftentimes people will go to where there's less. As a matter of fact, I wonder if you can think of to yourself in your head right now, who do you know that's moved to Bullitt County in the last year? Who do you know who's moved to Oldham County in the past year? Or people I've worked with, they've moved across the river to southern Indiana. And the reason is cost of living and taxes are less. So coming into this particular tax session, we have to be aware and be careful, because as soon as you say, hey, we're going to fix the tax structure, there's going to be a lot of interests who are spending a lot of time, a lot of money lobbying those politicians to say, well, we want this benefit and these other people can not get a benefit or something like that. Instead of trying to fix overspending, oftentimes people try to tweak the taxes so it hurts a little less to this group or hurts a little more to that group. So we talked about the event on April the 18th from 5 to 7. That's going to be at the post office. Now, April the 20th, which is Thursday, we have at the St. Matthew's Community Center from our social hour starts at 6. Our main event starts at 7. And that is going to be a Taxed Enough Already social. And so we're going to have some folks from a couple of different groups who are going to come and kind of give us some ideas, give us some thoughts that they have on what to watch for in this session, what to, keep an eye on. Because I was sitting in a group of Tea Party folks, Tea Party leaders from all over the state not too long ago, and we got to talking about the tax session. And so if you sit in your backyard with a couple of guys and they're drinking, a Coke or something, and you're just kind of talking and you say, well, this tax session is coming up. What do you want? And somebody will say, well, I want a flat tax. And somebody will say, well, I want a consumption-based tax. And all these concepts are concepts that, you've heard in the news and you have ideas. And quite frankly, it was interesting because that group of different people had a lot of different ideas. You can just imagine if a group of people who are committed to lower taxes and less government are sitting there and they have a lot of different ideas that will be kind of floating around. Same thing will be happening in a legislative session, except in this case, the politicians have an incentive to maintain their tax base, to increase their taxes so they can spend more, so they can fulfill more promises, they can buy more votes. So it's going to be very important for us to keep an eye on how this shapes up. There are a number of states that have done major changes. I believe Tennessee has gotten rid of the income tax over a long period of time. I think it was 10 years or something like that. And what they were doing, and something that somebody had mentioned to us in that conversation, was, hey, it's going to be important that if they go to a consumption-based tax, that it's going to be an important thing to make sure that they don't have a back door so they can do, here, let's do a consumption-based tax, and let's keep the income tax where it's already sitting. And obviously that would raise revenues, and people would like that if you're a politician. But if you're the person out there who's actually trying to go through his pockets and go through his couch and find the change to pay the taxes, that's a whole different story. So we're going to be getting together the 20th, and then we're going to, from 7 to about 8:30, we're going to be going through those things. The Louisville Tea Party has a number of people who do some pieces on history. They have some people who do some pieces on policy, some snacks and some drinks and things for a donation. And you just kind of hang out and get to know the people who are fighting the battles that you want to be able to fight. And part of our goal isn't just to lower taxes, isn't just to make less government. It's to allow individuals to be able to successfully change things through their efforts. I don't know if you've ever had something that you were upset about, a behavior of a politician, a tax that wasn't fair, a behavior of a assessor that wasn't fair, and you didn't know what to do about it. I mean, think to yourself, when's the last time that you had a situation? Figure, what are you going to do about it? And there's some things you can go on a hunger strike. I've heard people do that. You can stand outside their business with a sign. You can do that. There's all kinds of things to do. And then what is actually most effective to do? And it's our goal to always give you the perspective as to what is most effective to do. We'll be talking a little bit more about that after the break, and we're looking forward to having Dr. Simon join us shortly. And thank you for listening to WGTK.
Hi, I'm Dr. Frank Simon. I'm an allergist and family doctor, board certified in both allergy and internal medicine. I specialize in allergy, headaches, sinus, hives, cough, asthma, hypertension, and diabetes. We're located at 1404 Browns Lane near Norton Suburban Hospital. Our phone number is 895-5088. We can see you tomorrow.
We need to stop the debt, and we need to revitalize our income tax.
Absolutely.
Or change the tax system. Michael is the president of the Tea Party of Louisville.
Yes, Louisville Tea Party. Mm-hmm.
That's a tremendous thing, and they're doing a great job, and we need to push forward. There's been an earth-shaking change in our country since November 8th.
Absolutely.
In other words, it seems like the good Lord has opened a door for us. There's a job for everyone to do.
Absolutely.
No one is left out or unimportant, but there's an important job for every one of us.
Absolutely.
To push forward on this. Now, we're going to have some signs and everything. Are you going to bring signs too?
Yes. I'm getting together with a couple of people, and we're going to make some signs. We've also got flags, so we'll have Kentucky flags, the Gadsden flags, the American flags, and so make a really nice showing out there on the sidewalk.
That will be great. Great.
Absolutely.
It seems to me that all these tax money is it's hurting the economy to take all the money. And so people say, oh, well, I'm going to work today. Well, maybe I won't because the government's going to get half of what I make anyway. What's the sense of working when the government gets it?
Absolutely. Dr. Simon, you think in the Bible it talks about how much you should give to God, and that's voluntary.
Right.
And what percentage
exactly.
is that in the
10.
Bible? It's 10. And so if the government is taking somewhere between 40 and 60, how does it feel to be a wage slave for 40 to 60% of the year? When you look at it in those terms, they try to cushion it, they try to hide it, but that's how it comes out. And I mean, is the money going to stuff that you agree with?
That's right. No, it isn't. A lot of it is wasteful. Things that are important, like the military and keeping our country safe and keeping all the terrorists out. Well, they don't, that has to be refurbished. Thank goodness there's some motion in that direction. I got a letter this morning. It was last night. We need to work together. There's more work than we can possibly get done. And
Absolutely.
Everybody needs to chip in. There are a lot of listeners here that are very talented people, and they can do a lot to help us. I'd like to give the call-in number 571-0970, 571-0970. And we'd like to hear from you. Do you think that it's like somebody comes with a gun and puts it to your head and says, give me your money or I'm going to put you in jail? Is that right? But that's kind of what the government does. They say, hey, we want you to work for us and we're going to take the money. It's like stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't go to help the country. It goes to help all of the underhanded programs that are going on. So we'd like to hear from you about this taxing business. Well, Michael, taxes are a main problem.
Yes.
Do you think that there'll be any change, tax reform and things like that?
Well, we were talking about that before the first break, and it was an interesting thing because obviously we have the upcoming session in Kentucky, which is theoretically for tax reform.
Yeah.
And I was, cautioning people, we have to be aware and we have to try to understand what's happening, because what's going to end up happening is a lot of politicians are going to sit down. They're going to try to protect every project, everything that they use to buy votes. They're going to try to protect because, the world will end if everything isn't funded.
Right.
And so with the fact that we have a pension, which is so far behind, there's been so much money promised.
Right.
We have to be really careful in Kentucky. Now on the national level, just imagine how much bigger it is on the national level.
Right.
Donald Trump had promised tax reform, and he's talking about that. As we saw with the Obamacare fight, it's a very common problem with politicians that they will say, okay, we have all this steam generated. We're ready to go and do something. And they will do the least possible amount. And that was kind of what they did when they were saying, well, we got to repeal and replace Obamacare. But what they're repealing and replacing Obamacare with is basically Obamacare minus a few sticks. I mean, it's just...
Now, we'd like to hear from you, 571-0970. It's like we're forming a team of conservative people that realize that we've been hoodwinked for the last 8 years, and they've just brought in more and more terrorists. And now it's time for us to work together and, get our country back on track with tax reform, lower taxes, build up the military, make America great again. Somebody said that, didn't they?
Somebody did, and people responded to that. People were excited about that. Something, I forget, it may have been Congressman Thomas Massey who said it. He said during the Obamacare fight when he was warning, don't surrender on this, he said, there are a lot of people working very hard to make America the same again.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
Right.
That's not good.
Yeah. Well, listen, we need you to be part of the team. We need your help, and we need to work together. And with God's help, we can turn this thing around and really make America great again. Really would like you to come out here with us on the 18th, that's this coming Tuesday, and help us take a stand for America against big government that's trying to take away our freedoms, push America back down. But with God's help and your help, we're going to stand together with Michael, and we're all going to take a stand for America. Give us a call, and we got to stop for a break, but call in. Now, Michael, we're going to be at the main post office on Gardner Lane, and that's going to be this coming Tuesday, the 18th of April, and we're going to start about 5 p.m.
Right.
And we need everybody to be out there. I mean, it's the time for sitting on the sidelines is gone. It's time to be involved.
Absolutely.
Tell us what else is going on with Louisville Tea Party.
Our particular meeting this particular week is the 20th, and that's going to be focused intensely on tax issues because it is tax day. And actually, the first time I got involved with the Tea Party was a couple years ago at a tax day special, so that's very close to my heart. People are tired of sitting on the sidelines, if they're tired of yelling at the radio and throwing something at the TV because they see some leftist saying, you know what, you're not taxed enough. Come on out. Come on out. Sign waving is an easy and fun thing to do.
Yes, that's right.
And then from there, you can learn how to be, very effective at making politicians flee rather than making them or allowing them to govern you all the time.
It's great to be there. We'll all be there, and we'll have flags and signs that say no more debt and tax reform and maybe taxed enough already and all the things that give the strength and the power in this country back to the people instead of to these big-time, big government politicians that want to boss everybody around and tell everybody what to do, and mostly for their benefit. Do you have any other things that are coming up besides that?
I did kind of get stuck on this month. So the Tea Party meets on the third Thursday of every month. So in May, that's going to be the 18th. And what we're going to be doing in May is we're going to have a couple of people who are very close to the process come in and tell us about the legislative session that just ended in Kentucky. A lot of good stuff passed in the first week, and then a lot of really weird stuff passed in the last weeks. The vengeance of the empire came out in the last weeks, and we're going to be hearing about those things. I mean, everything from a helmet law, which basically sends the cops around and tries to make sure that, you pay a fine if your kid takes off their helmet, to any number of really strange things. So we're going to be talking about all that in May and talking about, what you can do about it. If you liked it, great. You can tell people that they liked it. If you didn't like it, we can tell you how to do a little bit better and make sure that your politicians listen to you.
There's also going to be a National Day of Prayer coming up on Thursday, May 4th. That's the first Thursday in May, and it's going to be at the Metro Hall, what used to be called the County Courthouse, on Jefferson Street, 527 West Jefferson Street. Be part of what's going on the National Day of Prayer. We got a lot to be thankful for. Also, Senate Bill 17 passed, which puts prayer back into Kentucky schools. And we need students that will help us get prayer and some study groups back in the public schools. You know someone, a student, that could help us with that, give us a call. I'll give you the number, 893-2444. And there'll be an answering machine there, but tell us the name and phone number of people that you think could help us put creation science and American history and some of these really important courses back into the public schools. They were always there before, but, when big government takes over, they get rid of everything that's not in their liking.
Pardon me, Doctor. What was
Yes.
the time? What was the time for that gathering for the National
At
Day of
12
Prayer?
noon.
12 noon, okay. I
12
didn't catch
noon,
that.
and we'll have, bring an American flag if you've got one. Pastor Stevenson will be there. They'll be blowing the shofar. There'll be a number of pastors. Angela Minter will be there. Larry Coleman, Sonny Mull from Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. There's going to be a lot of people there to just be part of the National Day of Prayer. Obama refused to let them have a National Day of Prayer at the White House. Every other president, as I understand it, had prayer at the White House on the National Day of Prayer. But Obama saw fit not to have prayer. We're back again, and Michael, you had something important to tell us.
For those who have been in Kentucky politics for a while, there's a group, statewide group called Take Back Kentucky, and they got started with the work for the original concealed carry. One of their oldest, members, one of the earliest members, is a lady named Annie Zachary, former Republican chair or vice chair for her county. She has just passed away, and we're going to miss her a great deal because she was such a firebrand. She was willing to take it to anyone. And so the Take Back meeting is next Saturday, the 22nd, and it starts at 1 p.m. at Family Buffet in Elizabethtown. Watch the takebackkentucky.com website because they're going to announce a place that we're going to have a little service for Annie beforehand because all of us knew her, all of us looked up to her and learned so much from her. So that's also the 22nd, but it's going to be a little bit before their regular meeting that starts at 1 p.m. So just keep an eye on the Take Back Kentucky website.
We need to honor those that have done so much for the conservative movement across the years. And she was telling about the important things that the Muslim terrorists had done. She was in Jordan, and the Muslims came and more or less bombed her house and her parents, and she had to stay several years in a bomb shelter. And finally, she escaped to Israel, where she got medical help and eventually came and became an American citizen. And she's she says, well, the same thing that happened to Jordan is happening to the United States. About 75% of Muslims living in the Middle East believe in Sharia law. And in 2015, 29,000 Muslim refugees have entered the United States. Some people say more than that. And then she says there are now 2,800 mosques in the United States. 2,200 were opened after the 9/11 bombing or destruction of the World Trade Center. And some experts believe that over 80% of these are operated by the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a terrorist organization. There's just a lot of things going on that sort of seems to me left over from the former administration. The Muslim Brotherhood is very active here in the United States. We need to be aware of that and try to stop from bringing more and more terrorists in. They tell us that very few Christians were brought in as refugees. It was almost all Muslims. There's no way to tell how many of them are terrorists. So that's also a problem that we have to deal with. We're going to have a big rally on Tax Day, the 18th of Tuesday, the 18th of April at 5 p.m. at the main post office on Gardner Lane.
Yep, 1420 Gardner Lane.
1420 Gardner Lane. Okay, so we'd like everybody to be there. and take a stand for America and against big government and big taxation. We hope you can be there. And we'd also like to hear from you, 571-0970. We really need to work together. America's in trouble, and we need to work together to try to turn it around again. Try to come to the Tax Day rally and come to the National Day of Prayer, which is May 4th. You know, if you know somebody that you think, student that you think would help us set up these conservative clubs in the public schools, we'd like you to call the American Family Association, 893-2444. Seems to me this is a golden opportunity that we've got the doors open. We can walk in, stop some of the corruption that's been going on for years. And we've got an opportunity now that like we're on a roll. The good Lord has opened the door to put conservatives in power in Washington. And we need to work together and come together and take a stand against all this evil that's been going on for years and years and years.
Yep.
Michael, what else is you got anything else on your schedule for Tea Party?
Nothing scheduled as of yet, other than the two that we've talked about and the one in May. A couple of things that we are working on long term. Obviously, we're looking at a couple of issues that are going on. There's a tree ordinance in Louisville, which I'm not sure. I don't think it's passed as of yet. But if it passes, what I've been told is that it's going to basically nationalize the trees that are in the city of Louisville. They will make it so it's extremely difficult for you to cut down a tree or add trees or make improvements around trees on your property. So the mayor did a study. Results of the study was a 53-page bill, which is now trimmed down to 19. And it's going to be something that's coming up, and we do want to keep an eye out for that as on a local level.
Well, you know, talking about Mayor Fisher, he's trying to make Louisville a sanctuary city.
That's right, he is, isn't he?
And so we got a petition going against that. And if you'd like a copy of that petition, call us right now at 893-2444. We need to stand against that.
Absolutely.
We don't need criminals turned loose on America, and in Louisville especially. So if you can, call 893-2444. Just leave your name, address, and phone number, and we'll get a copy of that petition out to you right away. We signed up 800 people in one day.
Believe it.
It's really popular. People are just fed up with more and more sanctuary cities. Michael Brown with the Tea Party of Louisville is our special guest. And we can put this all together with God's help. Well, we're about ready to run out of time. Michael, we certainly appreciate it. God bless you, and tune in again next week for the rest of the news.
Thank you for having me, sir.